Welcome back to our Q&A session for the Defending Against Coronavirus webinar, which took place last week on Thursday. We are absolutely pleased to welcome back Radek, Eric, Sandra and Marcella, who have kindly given up their time to talk to us again. Our webinar last week had 850 live viewers as it took place, and subsequently we've shared and had another couple of hundred downloads, so that's over 1,000 unique views over the last week, which is fantastic. The most amazing thing was the interaction from the viewers. We've had over 100 questions, so we did mention on the webinar that we'd be asking our panelists and our moderator Eric back to answer some of those questions, and like I said, they graciously given up their time again, so we hope to go through as many of those as we can and answer the questions that you posed after the webinar. So without further ado, I'll pass over to Eric Musgrave, our moderator for today, and we'll speak soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you, the Retail Summit. Okay, welcome everyone. Here we go, following up from last week's webinar. So I can again welcome Radek Jelinek from Mercedes-Benz Italia, from Marella Wartenbergh from Pepe London in Madrid, and over in upstate New York today is Sandra Campos, the CEO of Diane von Furstenberg, DVF. Okay, my first question will be, we've had a lot of questions and we've narrowed them down. So they're big questions, but I'd like short answers if possible, folks, so we can get through as many as possible. So right now, even as we don't know when anything's going to get back to normal, can you tell us how you think you will be running your businesses differently because of what you've experienced during the COVID-19 crisis? So let's start with the person who's, what should we say, furthest west. So that will be Radek in Rome.
Now we're going through different scenarios, of course. We are about to reopen the offices. It's probably somewhere between 1 or 2 weeks and then reopen our business again. I mean, we still work from home, and the scenarios are from complete shutdown, so going forward with the home offices till basically everybody's back. It's going to be probably a mix. So the most necessary people go back to the office, and but most part of our employees going to work from home. I guess this is working just fine. We just did it for the last 6 weeks and it worked fine. For the dealers, it's of course a little bit different, so they need to have the service open, and the commercial part is going to go more and more versus online business.
Radek, thank you. Okay, Marcella, from Pepe Jean's point of view, how is the business going to be run differently after this strange experience of the last few weeks?
I think we have learned a lot during the last couple of weeks. So I think that the first thing is we will need to give a lot of safety to our employees. They need to feel safe in their environment. So, and we're looking at which things we need to implement in the office to make people feel safe, the distance, the cleaning, the hygienic part. And we, same than Radek mentioned, we're going to build it slowly. Not going to be from one day to the other that everybody will come back to the office. But I also think that this is also giving us a great opportunity to continue what we have learned about working more from home, digitalization. I think we have become much more disciplined and also much more interactive. We work with a lot of agility and SWAT teams. So I think that we are taking the best that we took through this contingency, and we believe that they're going to become the new habits of working for the teams and for the managers.
Could I just ask before we move on to Sandra, does that mean you would imagine having smaller teams doing whatever you're doing?
I would think more than smaller is more diversified teams. I think this will give an opportunity for people to interact on, I will call it more on a vertical process. So we can integrate people from different areas for specific projects. So I talk a lot about SWAT teams, agility teams, that they can solve problems really quick, react very quick with an overview. So I can have somebody from retail, from product, combined with marketing, and we say, okay, let's react towards this. So it's more than size. I think it's more about the speed of it. that we will.
Okay, I look forward to the Pepe jean sweatshirt with SWAT on them. I may get one of those myself. Okay, thank you. Okay, so right across the Atlantic to Sandra, what's your expectation about how DVF will look and be run post COVID-19?
Well, very differently. I couldn't agree more with everything that has been said so far as it relates to just office space, safety for our employees, but also, you know, for us as it relates to the consumer and our product, we have to really think about our product offering and how much, because if anything that this has shown us, it's that we've lived in a very antiquated fashion system with things that we've been doing just because it's been a general rule and not because it makes any sense, really. So that just goes into everything from product deliveries to calendars and just how much product we actually deliver. So on that front, it's going to be drastically reduced. That's my short answer.
That's a good answer. That's a very good answer. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, so this is specifically for our two ladies from the fashion world. Given that we've had SARS in the past, we've had Ebola fears, we've had various types of flu, and now we've had this terrible coronavirus. Do you see any expectation that you will change your supply chains? Because in very typical terms, an awful lot of stuff comes from China. So are you going to diversify that? Are you going to move closer to home? And also, do you think there's, maybe Radek could maybe have a view on this, do you also think there's going to be a pressure from consumers to maybe source from somewhere else other than China? Sandra, can I start with you, please?
Sure. You know, we actually were diversifying a bit before, and we've been focused on that, you know, when we started getting the import taxes and duties that were impacting us quite significantly. So we started diversifying then, and it's been, you know, about the last 12, 18 months. But I think more than that, we will focus on diversification of products so that various products will come from different parts of the world and different regions. We actually happen to have a very established and long-term relationship with our Chinese manufacturer that does a lot of our business, the majority of our business, and they've been with us for more than 25 years. So we personally, as a DVF business, won't necessarily move from that, but we will be diversifying the products that we carry so that we can actually have a more diversified vendor matrix as well around the world.
Thank you. Marcella, what's Pepe Jeans London's view on this?
In our case, we were already quite diversified. So I would say we had 50% in Far East and 50% made in Europe or close to Europe. So North Africa, Europe, Turkey. So we had a very good diversification. But I agree with Sandra. I think it's more about the diversification on product offer, on timing. I think there's going to be a shift on calendars. There's going to be also a shift on when do you need and what type of product. So for me, it's going to be the product offer, same than Sandra. And I think there are very important things. There's going to be a big need for read and react. So I think lead times are going to be very important. But the lead times can come from Asia, from Europe. It's more how do we mitigate risks, and we can react faster. And that doesn't mean where it comes from. It's more like how do we plan, I'll say, smart supply chain.
Okay, thank you. Radek, this is actually not specifically about Mercedes-Benz, but, you know, being in Italian, certainly in the fashion world, there's a, you know, the Made in Italy label has great kudos. But from an Italian consumer's point of view, do you think they are going to be looking a little bit uncomfortably at things that are sourced from China?
First of all, I think I can partially also answer your first questions answered by Sandra and Marcella. I think just yesterday we had a meeting with our group CEO, and he underlined our relationship to China, and basically it's the fastest growing market still for us, and it's important to be there. So we have manufacturing facilities all over the world, so including China, including Europe, of course, and US and Mexico and stuff. So for us, it's a natural hedge, and I think it won't change. So this is from this perspective, this is the ongoing strategy. Now on consumers' behavior, my bet is that people look very very well on where your product is coming from, your narrative, your company. How do you behave? How did you behave now during this crisis, especially? So it's not just the product. And so I think people are going to look very closely at what they're buying.
Okay, good stuff. I'd like to move on now to physical selling space. So again, this is for all of you. Right now, what are your thoughts on how your physical stores will be for the fashion colleagues and your physical showrooms for the automobile side? So are you going to have fewer? Are they going to be smaller? Are they going to be in different places? Are they going to look different? Are they going to be operated differently? I'm asking you all that. I'm now going to say, can you sum that up quite shortly? What are these physical stores going to be like after the experience of what we've been through? So let's start with Marcella, please.
So actually, I think it's more about the rationalization of our stores. So I think that there's still going to be a need to have a certain connection with the consumers. It's just how many stores do we need to have? How much do we expose ourselves? And what do we offer in that store? So it's a combination of product and experience, but also maybe there's opportunities for service, for click and collect, reduce e-com cost, but that also helps to the sustainability costs, because CO2 is going to become a major thing with e-com growing globally. And having a very millennial-driven consumer, we believe that sustainability is going to be another thing that is going to be attached to all this. So for us, it's more about the rationalization of the stores. Of course, there's going to be a reduction in some places, but there can also be an expansion in some other places. So it's more, do we cover where the consumer expects and where they expect?
Okay, thank you. And over to Sandra, what's your view at the moment? How many stores have you got now? How many, if you had a magic wand, how many stores would you like going forward? I know it's not easy to just go from A to B.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's short term and there's long term. So in the short term, we actually operate 19 stores, and in the long term, we'd like it to be reduced significantly. And that's really just for a lot of different reasons. But one is in terms of the experience that we will need to create. It's something that we've been talking about, but actually haven't executed. And I think it's a must now, which is we can't just have clothes in a store anymore, right? Just no one goes in for that any longer. It has to be something much more emotional, much more educational, much more of an experience that you're getting something back. We actually have in our flagship store, we do amazing events and speaker panels and all kinds of experiences. And I would like to take that model and be able to do that across the stores that we do have, so that it's not just in one location, but it's something that happens to be our own ownable footprint.
Okay, thank you very much. Radek, you was talking during our webinar last week that even selling premium automobiles like Mercedes-Benz, you were seeing an increase in activity through digital promotion and people coming in, having looked online and so on. What right now are you thinking about the need for the number of showrooms you have in Italy, how big they are, etc., etc.? Do you think there will have to be a rationalization or a different way of approaching that classic motor car showroom?
Now the approach is our approach is the same as just expressed by Sandra. I think it has to be more experience, or the experience has to be more content we offer. It's just not just showing a car. So we have around 100 showrooms around Italy, and this is, as you may know, automotive industry is quite capital and investment heavy, and even our dealers, our business partners, that's most their property. It's just not easy to say, okay, I just rented a room somewhere and I just canceled my contract. So it's there. So our question mark, big question mark, how to do the transition into new digital combined with the human touch world. And I underline the human touch because I think despite all digital approach and online. People are buying more online than they did before. They don't go in so many times to the showroom to see a car. Of course, they're informed and so on, so forth. But we realized they still need a human touch. They still want to get the stuff explained, especially Italy, which is quite traditional. And so this combination is going to be crucial. So yes, a long run is going to be less, more modular, more experience, more digital, yes, different.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Right. So we could have done an extremely long webinar just about the relationship between landlords and retailers and brands. But I'll just ask, just for our fashion friends, we are hearing that in China, brands, competitors have come together to go collectively to mall owners to say, we've got to change how the leases work, how this whole operation's run. Are you finding any similar experience with your companies in your markets, or would you welcome working with other people? Or do you think even that is inevitable, that you as the tenants will get together and go collectively to see the landlords and say, we've got to work somehow in a different way? So Sandra, malls very important to the American setup. What's your feeling right now?
Well, I haven't heard that actually, and I haven't personally been part of any group that wants to get together. I would absolutely welcome it. I think that we're all learning from each other. I have been in contact with quite a few of my peers, and we all have the same situation and we all have the same concerns, but I think right now, from what I know, people are doing it individually. So it would definitely be something that powers in numbers.
But as we were discussing in our webinar last week, you as the CEO of DVF, you definitely feel there's got to be a different relationship between you as a brand, a tenant, and the landlords of the malls. Is that correct?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, we all are in business and we all have our own agendas, but we have to do it together, because if we're not partnering together, then no one succeeds. So we definitely have that approach in our conversations, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, and I think it's tough for everyone. I've had some recent conversations with investors in real estate as well that are giving me their perspective so that I understand what they have to work through and what they have to do with their lenders and whatnot. But so it is a partnership, and I think they are understanding that and have to realize that as well. But it's incumbent upon all of us to work together as partners on it.
Sorry. Unmute. Marcella, so last week you were reminding us that Pepe Jeans London has lots of stores, either directly owned or through franchise partners in lots of different markets. Have you heard of any brands wishing to do a joint approach to landlords to change the situation?
I would say same than Sandra mentioned. We have not got together. I think we're sharing a lot of best practices with a lot of our peers, a lot of other brands. We are sharing what's happening, but like getting together, not. I think also with the landlords, they understand the situation, same as what Sandra mentioned. It's about the partnership. They need us, we need them. I think it's more about being together. We are learning a lot through the process. I think there's a lot of opportunities, and I think that's the most important, not only to think about the contingency period, but I think that's a short term. But we also are talking to them, okay, what's the long term for the relationship, the situation? So I think that's very important. There's a moment of, okay, 2 months, the stores are closed, what do we do? But what's going to happen after that? So we are looking into each of the landlords, we're speaking to them, we're saying, okay, this is a reaction of right now. However, what's going to happen afterwards? We expect that there's going to be a recession globally. We expect that traffic is going to be low, at least for the coming months. There's going to be less travel. So there's even locations that are very tourist driven or very based on travelers. So what's going to happen with that? So I think sharing with peers and sharing with landlords, I'm learning a lot through the process. And I think I try to share as much as we can. So it's a two ways.
Okay, excellent. Right, so after physical stores, then I want to turn to the flip the coin over and look at the online selling, the digital experience, the e-commerce world, etc. So my first question, and this would be to all of you, and I will start with Radek, if we could. In what ways has this crisis made you rethink your digital strategy and indeed your digital investment? So Radek, you specifically for Mercedes-Benz in Italia, and then I'll come to our friends.
Well, the automotive in general is not the most progressive industry on digital and online, of course. So we're not selling books, we're selling cars, and you all tried it. So that's not been the favorite topic maybe for the last 20, 30 years. But yes, but we have, we've invested some money in the last couple of years. So we have an online store running in Italy. Mercedes-Benz Italia.et, where you can basically purchase a car. From a legal perspective, the final steps like signature, whatever you still have to do physically, but you can basically look where cars are, which dealer, and you do the negotiations with him online. So it is possible, and I think we estimate within 5 years we can go up to 25%, which is a lot. But again, it's not a book, it's not a pair of jeans, so it's some thousand US dollars and the euros you're buying, so it's not that easy, but it's going to be more and more, definitely, yes.
Oh, okay, so Marcella, how has the experience of the last few months altered Pepe's digital strategy, its investment level it's putting into online?
So when I joined a couple of months ago, one of the top 3 priorities was all the strategic digitalization. And e-com was one of the top, as I said, top 3 priorities of my first 100 days. So we really launched a whole strategy that went from connecting to communicating to explaining to really making it the consumer part of it. Because I think one of the most important things in e-com and digitalization is we need to connect, and we need to tell, they need to feel that they're in a store. Because to buy an item, a basic item is very easy. But once you go into above basics, it's how am I gonna look with that dress or with that jeans or with that pair of pants? How do we explain if it's a low rise or high? So we're spending much more time on spending on the copyright, on explaining on the local language what each item will make you feel or how it's gonna be worn, giving ideas on how to combine the item, when can you use the item. So it starts from the strategy, the shooting, the product offer we decide to put in e-com. There's product that is easier to do in e-com than other products. So I would say we just kick off the first phase on the 1st of March. So I'm very new on what the outcome is, but the results are impressive. I think this is pushing me to accelerate it even more. But for me, it's a 360 strategy on e-com.
Okay, Marcella, thank you. So last week, Sandra, you were telling us that you definitely thought that this the COVID-19 experience would accelerate the move for the whole fashion industry online. So tell us specifically what right now you're thinking about how DVS strategy will change or accelerate or increase compared with what it was, say, 2 or 3 months ago.
Well, 2019, we actually invested in our digital innovation, and we still had it as one of our top 3 priorities for this year. But we did bring on a lot of new vendors last year, and it was about exactly what Marcella is even talking about now. We did AI, we brought in a chat tool, we brought in various sizing measurements, all for the goal of being able to increase revenues at conversion and to be able to reduce returns, because those are obviously significant at moving the needle in terms of sales and business profitability. So we spent a lot of time and effort on that. In addition, we had focused on content, and we created a newsletter that was a weekly newsletter and creating more of a community. So for us, it will continue to be focusing around how do we create a more content-rich site that has and includes everything, and that's our flagship, and that's something that we've kind of been working towards. It will definitely continue to accelerate that, but in addition to that, the investment will be much more about data analytics and really looking at the data, because that's one thing that we haven't had as much of, and we don't have the greatest of systems, so we definitely need to be able to understand and get the data. So that would be an investment that I would like to do.
Superb, thank you. Now I've managed to unmute. Okay, so some of you have slightly touched on this. I'm very interested right now during this time when all your stores are locked down. You may or may not be selling online. How are you communicating with your customer groups? And are you actually, to put it in a really crude way, are you actually still trying to sell to them, or are you merely just sort of giving them nice views about how you're looking after your staff and et cetera, et cetera? I mean, is it appropriate at the moment to put out any sales message, or are you doing something else? I just wonder what you're finding is right now, what is the most effective and appropriate way of communicating with your consumers? So Radek, may I start with you, please?
Yes, we did what Mercedes-Benz offered worldwide, not just in Italy, is to use the digital platforms also to spread the real news, not the fake news, but the real news, like governmental directions, how people have to behave. So we put these digital tools to inform people. So for example, Mercedes-Benz worldwide has over 26 million followers on Instagram. So it's powerful, each country and so on and so forth. So that's a lot. And I think, as I said before, people are watching us. I mean, we have to be good corporate citizens, not only for our employees, also for our customers. And so I think that's a good thing to do is now to show that you not only donate money, but that you care of your communities and your people and stuff. So of course, some image campaigns leading people to our digital platforms, so online sales, make some sense. But let's say heavy sales right now, where Italy is completely shut down right now, it's probably not that productive, and you spend lots of money for nothing. Yeah, so it's better to do different things right now. Okay,
understood. Okay. So Marcella, for Pepe Jeans, what's been your approach? Are you actually trying to sell any fashion at the moment, or do you agree it's not appropriate?
No, I think it's a combination. We cannot say that we stop selling, because I think clothes is one of the things that they're still up and is still on top of mind option at home. I think what we needed to change was a little bit the type of product we were pushing on the newsletter. How we were doing the photography of those items, which assets did we use. We could not put 10 people together, because it was really the opposite of what we're saying. So we tried to maybe understand the consumer. At the same time, we balance it with really consumer and human messages. I think it's very important to think that at the end, we're all locked down, or if we're not locked down, we have someone that is locked down. So we need to be also thinking about the moment they're living. So what are they feeling at home? What are they feeling with their families? So I think the human part took a very important role in the last, I would say, 4 weeks. We were always it was very consumer-centric. Now we move to a more, what I call human-centric, people-centric point. So still consumer, but let's think about what are you living? What are your needs today? And we are there for them. And also sharing a little bit what we're doing as a company. For our employees, what are we doing for the community? So it became from human to still continue selling. So we combined the type of newsletters during the period of sending one that it was more community, human driven, and one more sales. So we are just doing the combination. I think it was more about the type of product we tried to sell that was making sense for the moment that the people are living.
Okay, yeah. For people who didn't see the webinar last week, Marcella was talking a lot about bringing the human side more into the business going forward. So thank you for that. So Sandra, what's working for DVF at the moment in terms of communicating to your consumer base?
Well, first of all, I think everyone pivoted very quickly to digital formats and digital content, which has been pretty amazing to watch, regardless of the industry. And, you know, we did as well. I think I mentioned that we have an In Charge at Home campaign, because In Charge is our big mantra and manifesto that it's part of our purpose and our mission as a company. And we continue to do that. I think it's been a combination, to what Marcella was saying, combination of things that are providing content. We've engaged specialists, whether it's a psychologist or whether it's a trainer, a physical trainer, and workout. So we have a combination of things that we've been posting from a content standpoint, Diane's favorite books and favorite movies that you can watch at this time. So things like that. But there's a reality of business that realistically we have to drive and sell inventory, and we have to get cash. And so we have also been selling, and we had very, very good success with a first sample sale that we did. That was a first time digital sample sale, and it was wildly successful. Best day we'd had in the company's history. So I think there people are still buying at certain prices and certainly certain types of products.
The world over, everyone likes a bargain. Everyone likes a bargain. Okay, well, listen, we've got probably about 10...
Where's that Mercedes sample sale?
Listen, we're now on the family and friends link with Radek. We're going to be fine, ladies. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. So listen, we've got probably about 10 minutes. So I'm just going to what you just mentioned, Sandra, was really perfect lead into my next question, which is aimed primarily at yourself and Marcella, but also we'll bring Radek in. I mean, absolutely, everybody knows we've lost many weeks of selling. So there's a huge congested supply chain, certainly in the fashion world. So what is going to be your strategy? Again, we don't know when things are going to ease up, but what is going to be your strategy? What are you going to do with all that stock? It may be that it's spring, it's early summer, but it may be late summer before you start selling it. What's your strategy going to be? And also, do you have any autumn stock or fall, in your case, Sandra, to bring in? So Marcella, can I ask you first? Have you got any idea? Can you share with us what on earth you're going to do with all the stuff that you would have sold but you haven't sold?
I need to say a word that Sandra used last week. I hope we could have the crystal ball. It becomes very challenging. I would say that there's the spring stock, and what we have for spring, summer, we need to see when do we open. And I think it's going to be a lot about benchmark and how are we going to do that. But we need to understand that the overstock is a global problem. I was listening the other day that they have calculated, and they expect to have 250 million leftover pieces globally just from the fall season, from the spring season. So it's going to be a challenge for everyone. Normally you will say you do another continent, but so spring, summer is going to be a crystal ball. I think for fall, winter, we were able to mitigate the risk. So there was a lot of things that we were still on time to, okay, stop certain production, hold the fabric, we will reuse certain items, not the finished garment, but really some great fabrics. So I think it has been a lot about what is the best way to maximize and utilize without taking too much risk on finished goods. I think that's something we need to be careful that we don't have too much excess inventory, because that's working capital, and working capital means cash. So it's a whole thing. So spring, summer, I just need to wait when are we gonna open. It's very difficult to mention what's going to be the strategy. I want to benchmark as well.
I'm full of difficult questions, Marcella. It's you guys who've got to give the difficult answers. So Sandra, what's the DVF strategy?
Well, obviously we started it through having a digital sample sale. And that's something that we continued, and we will go back. We were supposed to have a physical sample sale, so instead we moved it online, and it was much more successful online. So we will look, we have stock in different locations between Europe and the US, and we will continue to try to move it through digital ways. We did exactly what Marcella was referencing for deliveries, even from summer on, June deliveries on. We were stopping production. We were holding on greige fabrics. We were doing what we needed to be able to reduce the product. And we put a hold on winter. So anything delivering November, December on, we put a hold on. So we are not producing anything, because we will have significant inventory that, again, we have seasonless products, and we have things that can live. You can wear it in August or you can wear it in February. It doesn't really matter. So we are holding off on future production, which goes into the point of, you know, why we got where we are today, because we have, it's overconsumption. It's too much. So it's really pulling back. So that's what we've done on an immediate basis.
Okay, thank you. So, Radek, would I be right in thinking that this time of year is traditionally the big time for selling cars?
It is, and we're losing basically 2 months of sales. This is significant. I mean, we're not the same as the fashion industry. Of course, we're producing a little bit more, let's say, just in time. But yes, we're going to have a stock which is going to be important also dealers. So the question is going to be how do we deal with that? We can't do summer sales 70% off. We're not in this industry, and we won't do it. We're not the brand to do that. So it's going to be just mixed between, of course, offerings, financial offerings to the customers, like say buy now, start to pay within 6 or 12 months, stuff like that. Probably everybody's going to do that, but our, let's call it, digital and online ability is going to be to contact our customers and approach them to back-to-back contracts. Say, okay, I'll offer you another car, same price. So let's keep it moving. So now we have to be smart, fast, and intelligent to do that and move that.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap up here and hand over to Gary. I just want to say a big thank you to the three of you again. It's been great chatting with you, spread across the globe as we are. So, but I just want to check, Radek, am I right in thinking that you will be giving buy one get one free to your friends that have been on this this online webinar? Are we getting special terms from you? See, Gary's all ready to go.
Sorry, Eric, I don't speak English. No, but actually, if I would have asked one question if I could, but since I'm answering, I would ask Sandra and Marcella and it's not about joking about this virus, but is the mask gonna be the new chic?
Well, you know, in New York State, we actually now, as of Friday, anytime that you're out in public, it is a law, you must wear a mask, right? So I don't know. I mean, we didn't go into that business, but I don't think that's going away anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree with Sandra. I think it's more about giving it away and making it part of the support and the community. More than a business, I think now it's gonna become like the new thing that you need to have always with you.
But is it gonna be like more chic?
It's going to be like the old Wild West guys with their bandanas over their faces. So
but you know what else? I just saw this morning a new business just popped up with hand sanitizer carrying cases, accessories that have already popped up for that.
Wow.
Right. Okay. Listen. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to hand over now to Gary. It's been great chatting with you again, and thank you very much for your insights, Gary.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. It's just a quick wrap up for me. I think for myself and the Retail Summit team, to all four of you, it's a very sincere thank you for joining us and again giving up an hour of your day. I think from all of the viewers, again, I'm sure that there'll be many messages on LinkedIn to all of you individually for answering some of the questions that they posed based on the webinar last week. I think we're all learning that it's critical to communicate and to talk, and now especially more than ever, you sharing your points of view and your stories. I think that's going to benefit a lot of people and a lot of our listeners. So again, just a sincere thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Keep safe, keep well, keep sane, be happy. See you guys. Bye bye.
Thank you very much, everybody. That's it.